Welcome to 5 and 5 from the One Stop Co-op Shop, where I discuss 5 key elements of a game in about 5 minutes. I'm Michael Kelly, and today I'm looking at Bloodborne, the board game from CMON. No disclaimer here, I bought this one myself, and to be clear, I've only played the core retail box set. I didn't kickstart any of this. I'm just about as big of a Bloodborne fan as I am a Dark Souls fan, and Dark Souls the board game let me down quite a bit. How did Bloodborne do? Let's find out and get to the list. The first thing I'm going to discuss are the hunters you can control as your player characters and how they upgrade, and for me this is generally a pro. First of all, the hunters themselves, 4 in the base game, have a nice amount of diversity in that they each have a unique weapon with 2 forms which has different attack speeds, different attack damages, they each have 2 different powers to switch between. Now, do I wish there were more than 4 in the base game? Of course, this is where I have some regret not backing the Kickstarter, but it's been fine for the plays I've had so far. And then on top of the variety in the hunters themselves, they upgrade in 2 major ways. First of all, they can get equipment that will give them ongoing bonuses or one-use powers. And then as they defeat enemies, they also get to upgrade their 12-card deck, always switching one card in for another, something that I always love in games. Now this is number 5 on my list instead of being higher, because like I already said, I wish there were more hunters. And the upgrades, while cool, sometimes don't feel impactful enough on your abilities, and also, especially in true solo, you'll often fill up all your upgrade slots a little bit early, and then you won't really have that much forward progress to make. Next, at number 4 is the exploration in the game, which is a mix for me. Let's talk about why. On the positive side, I really like the variety because you have this stack of tiles that'll come out in a different way each time you play. That's nice. And also the movement puzzle of trying to work your way around enemies without wasting too much time to try to track down the key tiles that'll let you succeed at quests can be a very tough puzzle and also a very enjoyable one. But on the negative side, and this is a design decision that kind of reverberates through a lot of the rest of the game, there is a lot of swinginess in when those key tiles come out. And if they end up just by dumb luck on the bottom of the stack, or 2 very important tiles end up very far away from each other, it can make already tough scenarios sometimes feel unwinnable, especially at certain player counts. I have another mix at number 3, a somewhat related one, and a very divisive element of the game, which is the turn track and how you reach these reset points. So in the game, at the end of every round, and whenever a player goes to the hunter's dream to upgrade or gets defeated, this little turn track will move, and whenever the token reaches these red reset points, you put all the monsters back to their starting locations, bosses will heal, all this stuff happens. And on the positive side of this one, I will say that the game very much needs a turn track. I like the tension that provides, forcing you to always move forward and run past monsters. I know it's not in the video game, there's no timer there, but I think for the board game experience it is necessary. But on the negative side, the turns can feel too tight and too punishing, and even like one misstep, or as I already mentioned, tiles being too far down in the stack, can make it feel almost impossible to win. But I'm coming back to a full pro for my number 2, which is the combat system in the game. So when an enemy attacks you or you attack them, you can put one of your cards down on one of the slots of your trick weapon, and this determines how quickly you're attacking, how much damage you're doing, other special effects, and then you randomly draw a card for the enemy, which is keyed to their unique attack types. And you can see which AI cards have already been played, so you always know the probability of different attacks and what speed they are, and that means you can try to dodge or stagger the enemy. It all feels like Bloodborne. It's incredibly tense even in simple fights, and you feel really cool when you get one over on the enemy and defeat them easily, so I like this system a lot. And finally, the number 1 element in Bloodborne for me is the campaign structure, and this is again a mix, although mostly pro. But let's get the negative out of the way first. Each of the 4 campaigns in the core game has 3 chapters in it, and by the rules, if you lose in any of those chapters, you have to start the entire thing over again. And oh my gosh, that is not fun in any way. But the thing is, this is easily house ruled, and that's definitely how I play. And without that, this number 1 becomes a full-on pro. Let's talk about why. First of all, I love the length of these campaigns. I can potentially play through all 3 chapters of a campaign in one night, which is great. But what really wins me over the most as a Bloodborne fan is how well they've captured the setting and narrative of the game, and in such a cool way, because each of the 4 campaigns has their own unique mission deck, but you generally won't experience all the missions and all the events in a single playthrough, and the missions you complete and the choices you make in the first and second chapter will have ramifications and change up how the third chapter plays out, and it's all straight out of the video game, so it makes me happy. I think the campaign is great, again, as long as you house rule that little lost lost condition. Overall, I think Bloodborne has the potential to be very polarizing, and some people really won't enjoy it. First of all, I definitely recommend it to fans of the Bloodborne video game, because if you're immersed in this world and know the little stories, you're going to appreciate all the little touches in the design. And second, I recommend it to some dungeon crawl and adventure game fans. And the reason I say some is because of the cautions I have for this game, and those are the main things I already mentioned. The turn track, the exploration, the general swinginess, if you follow the rules, having to repeat the entire campaign over again. If you're willing to house rule those things, or if you're the kind of gamer who's a bit of a glutton for punishment or doesn't mind a hectic challenge, then this one might be a hit for you. And check out the links that just popped up if you'd like to see some plays that are already on the channel. Good gaming, everyone, and I'll see you at the next stop.